Moving to the country, gonna pick out all the peaches. County's full of peaches, the people wanna be free. I'm moving to the country, gonna pick out all the peaches. Gonna vote on paper ballots, paper from a tree. I took a trip to Cherokee, they had a head count I could see, and I knew it was for me. I cast my ballot fair and free. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Paper ballots is the key.
And no bananas in our tree. I like bananas, but I don't like bananas in my peach tree. Bananas hiding out as peaches in a peach tree, and they're bananas, as in Banana Republic, right, dude?
Right, dude. Yeah.
So that's the theme of Peaches and Bananas, everyone. Came up with the title of the show because Georgia's the peach state, and peaches are the good people who want freedom, who want to be free. There's tasty, juicy peaches, and the bananas are curvy and crooked. I like bananas as a food, but I don't like Banana Republic bananas. And a lot of them hide out as peaches, but they're really bananas, right, dude?
There's been too much of that in Georgia.
Keeps been a lot of that.
Yeah. They keep
so welcome to...
Sorry, dude.
Welcome to Peaches and Bananas. We're going to kick off the show here, and I'm going to share my screen. I need to get it up here. Sorry about that. For this, I can just share my screen. Let's get the right screen shared. And we're going to promote our social media sites. I guess as for now, you can find us on Rumble. That's where this show will be posted, as well as on those are both the channel is Magastruck. So just do a search for Magastruck, and you'll find the pinned video there, which was what kicked off Magastruck and kicked off Peaches and Bananas and everything. It's the election integrity focused channel that is was hatched out of the debacle of 2020, and we did a video, posted a video about that. You can find our Peaches and Bananas shows here and go back and watch those. But the last social media site that we have presently is X, and there's lovely Tanya there on X. And, we don't have a lot of things posted there, but mostly what we're doing is posting Voter GA and Garland Favorito's content and anything that has to do with election integrity from the leaders in the state who are fighting tooth and nail against those bananas, those Banana Republic bananas, to try to get our state squared away with the elections that we all can trust. And right now we're in a situation where the polls show, contrary to what Sarah Draper tried to argue with Garland here, that most people know that our elections are not elections, they're selections, and they're rigged. So you can find us there on Rumble and YouTube and X. All right, dude?
That's right. And do we want to take a minute to say who we are?
Well, I'm Viking Dude, and you're Shadow TS, according to what I see on the screen there.
Yeah, that's what the screen says. I'm Tanya, and I work with Garland Favorito.
Yeah, and I am also known as Ty GT on some other platforms. I as well participate with Voter GA. I got involved with them back in 2020, in December of 2020. Actually, in November of 2020. Now I think about it, but
yeah, we've been volunteering with Voter GA for a long time now.
Yeah, none of us knew how long this road would be to hoe, but it's a long road, and we're still hoeing. So it's amazing that we've discovered all these problems. We've discovered that there are the problem is not really intrinsically. I mean, we can point to machines, we can point to ballot stuffing, we can point to all these things, but the problem is people.
Yeah.
We have multi-layered problems with people who are dishonest, who are, in the pockets of big lobby. I saw, the other day I saw another podcaster bring up a good point about in District 21 in Georgia. Brandon Beaches was the senator there, and he vacated his seat because Trump called him up to D.C. To be the Treasury Secretary or something like that. So his seat was vacated. Now that state Senate seat, the annual pay for that Senate seat is like $18,500 is the annual pay. $18,500. They only meet 3 months out of the year. So that's a, 1/4 of the year you get 18 grand. I'll take it. But you know how much was spent on that campaign?
How much was it? Like 6 figures?
It was 6 figures was spent in campaigning to get a Democrat in there or to get a Republican in there. It was up. I'm not sure of the exact number, but I remember when I heard the number, I was like, what? So that right there tells you that these legislative seats, and you got to think maybe even, the judges that are appointed, it really is about the back office and the exchange of money and favors, and we know that's how it works. And so, for that to ever change, we need free and fair elections rather than the rigged elections that we have. And the problem there is that the people who are in power, for the most part, act like they want fair elections, act like that the elections are free and fair, but they know that they're not, and they really don't want a change of heart there. They want to continue to tweak the knobs and jiggle the levers, and that's both parties. These people live inside both parties, and in some cases even collaborate together to keep our elections riggable.
You said a point there that seems really bananas to me, because that it would take that much money to campaign. That's a huge hurdle. That's a huge, not hurdle, that's a huge obstacle. So only the people that can afford it seem to have a fair shake at a campaign that's likely to succeed. So that's mind-blowing, dude.
Well, I want to go back and just promote one more thing here. We have a Give, Send, Go going to support Peaches and Bananas. However, we are mostly doing this show for the benefit of the people of Georgia and around the country. But it does cost us, it costs time, and Tanya is one who really needs some additional financial support. We all do, really, but Tanya especially is one who has challenges in her life. Tanya has a disability that really impedes her life, and she spends most of her time, right there, as you've seen her in the show today, sitting right there in a room, because her mobility is very challenged, so she needs help to move around. And that makes it hard for her to earn money. Like the rest of us, I can go out and dig a ditch, get paid $100. Tanya can't do that kind of stuff. So she needs our help. If you would be kind enough to go to Give, Send, Go, the website is givesendgo.com. Tanya needs our help. That's the name of the website. So please consider going there today and showing your support for Peaches and Bananas, but more so for Tanya Sosa and all her hard work that she does on behalf of all of us Georgians. And we're so grateful to Tanya.
Thanks, dude.
Okay, we'll dive into our first topic here. This past week, last week, there were a number of things that happened in the news. So take us through this one, Tanya.
Yeah, so last Friday we got the news that there was a decision, there's a drop, an announcement. It's actually a oh, I'm sorry, Viking dude. It was an order. It was a notice. That's the word that I'm looking for. It was a notice of impending dismissal of Fani Willis's election interference case. And what that notice is saying is that
Let's say that again. Is an impending dismissal. Okay.
An impending dismissal. So as of Friday, there's 2 weeks that if another county, another district attorney doesn't take up this case, it gets dismissed. So that would be huge for all the people that were indicted along President Trump, because that means they get their lives back. Right now, their lives have been on hold, especially the average people that were indicted along with him, because they have a felony in their record, and that gets in the way of so much in their lives. They can't get jobs because of it. So with that dismissal, that felony would go away, and after that, there might be a possibility for them to actually get their money back for their legal expenses because of a new law that passed in Georgia last year that that in cases of misconduct on behalf of the prosecuting attorney, the indicted could receive their legal fees back from the county. So we're not there yet. We'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But so far, it's looking good for them, particularly because it's unlikely for another county to pick up the case just because of how expensive it is. It's a massive $1 million plus case. So the chances of a county taking that up are big, in addition to the merits that it was pretty flimsy to begin with. President Trump did nothing wrong. The electors that were indicted along him did nothing wrong. They just signed a document to give President Trump an option to present a challenge of the election results in 2020. And all that President Trump was asking was an investigation. Nothing wrong with that.
So that's some applause there for especially some of the indicted ones, like election workers. Kathy Latham, was she Coffee County election director? Was she Coffee County?
I don't know that Kathy was an election director. She was an elector. She was one of the Republican electors.
Well, there are people in this group that don't have very very much. I mean, older. Their working years are behind them, and they've had to really shell out money for their defense. I mean, we're talking numbers that wipe you out. So it's good to hear that they're going to be able to maybe recoup. If this gets dismissed, they'll be able to recoup some of the money. I don't know how you recoup the attorney's fees, but yeah.
Yeah, you were, I think, probably thinking of Misty Hamilton from Coffee County.
Misty Hamilton from Coffee County, but it's good to hear that they're gonna maybe come out of this with with a little less damage, but it's been damaging for these poor folks who've been wrongly accused by Fani Willis and this. I think, as the graphic said, Rico Reverso. That's what we would like to see. I would like to see Rico Reverso on Fani and everyone who was involved in this plot. It's time we get some justice in this country, and the people who've been doing this lawfare have been abusing our court system and abusing the good people of our country, trying to step up and do their civic duty and serve the public, and just abuse all around, and it's like these people don't care. Again, we're talking about a lot of money going into the pockets, and it's time for a Rico Reverso. So, and we'll get that in there. Well, I think we need to move on to the next topic, dude.
Okay, dude. Let's do it.
So, All right, the next topic is about a Senate subcommittee. Am I using that right? Senate subcommittee called the Georgia House Blue Ribbon Study Committee on Elections. So none of the people pictured in this meme are actual sitting House of Representatives members from the state of Georgia, but they could be, because we're learning that on that committee there are two types of creatures. There are the or species. There is the bananas, and then there are these snails crawling on the bananas. It seems like when our government gets involved, it takes forever, and then it takes forever for us to uncover the fact that they're not a peach. They were a banana all along, right?
Yeah, they're banana slugs.
So that gives you any idea. So we had a hearing this past week. Garland, Favorito, and a number of election integrity advocates appeared, and
so this was a meeting in Covington that was on Thursday, and it was a meeting of that they were going to discuss voter registrations and election security issues.
Yeah. Okay.
Garland was.
So we're going to come back to that later in the show, right? We have more time dedicated to that. I forgot this. All this was to set up the rest of the show. So we're going to jump into our next segment here, which is about the Blue Ribbon Study Subcommittee, and it's snails, and we're going to kick it off with
It's a reminder of what it's all about.
Yeah,
why they're having this meeting at all. And
this one has audio, so I have to share this a different way.
Okay.
So
Viking Dude is getting that ready for us, and looks like he's got it.
All right. This is the Magastruck video we did back in 2023, 23.
24?
And it's related to the 2020 election, but Tanya felt that we should play a little clip for this to set up this segment, so here we go.
The fake news line covered up. It's what they're paid to do. And we knew.
Welcome to Hard Times.
That the deep state had us all.
As I stand here tonight,
The sound of the free
We had safe, secure, honest
and
elections.
losing our rights.
Let go of me! You're burning me!
Swamp teams and raids.
I have not yet begun to fight.
Chill patriots still fight.
And they're not coming for me and Trump, they're coming for you.
There we go. So that's a good place to get out of that one. So yeah. So you saw a lot in there, but what we wanted to feature was Brad Raffensperger, right?
Yeah, and there was a little bit more footage in there that I wanted to remind everybody of.
Oh, you want to keep playing it?
Yeah, there was a little bit more.
Okay. So just tell me when the out is, dude. Give me a signal.
Rolls now. Magastruck.
Not everybody dislikes him. We love him here. As people, we love Trump.
We search the country.
There you go.
Proof of the steal.
Okay. Proof of the steal. We searched the country. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Did in Georgia. Yeah, Georgia, where the swamp is for real.
That did not happen because it cannot happen.
We flushed out.
Yep.
Let's play that part again. We proved it in Georgia. Yeah, Georgia, where the swamp is for real.
Not everybody dislikes him. We love him here. As people, we love Trump.
We searched the country.
Finding proof. Yeah, proof of the steal. Proved it in Georgia. Yeah, Georgia, where the swamp is for real.
Because it cannot happen.
We flushed out the
Yeah.
All right, there he is. Now
Yeah.
that was where at a fish fry where he was asked about the machines and he said anybody can hack a machine. The governor himself said that right there.
Right there.
Okay.
And we saw the drop boxes getting stuffed and ballots under the table that were pulled out after hours at Fulton County, essentially stuffing the ballot box. So these are the issues at hand where there's been some improvement. There have been some good laws along the way to mitigate those a little bit, but it still remains like it's not completely fixed. And
Nope.
that's part
And
of,
this guy is running for governor now. And the other guy you saw in there, Gabrielle Sterling, who has been, who's run to the podium every chance he gets to, I would say, in my humble opinion, it's just an opinion. Attorneys are standing by. But Gabrielle Sterling would run to the podium and lie to cover up what this guy did. So, but this is an interview on 60 Minutes. I believe it was 60 Minutes where Brad Raffensperger says this.
We had safe, secure, honest elections, and the results are disappointing if you are a Republican, but those are the results.
So, there he is contradicting himself from just, I believe that was a week later they did that interview, but a week prior, only 2 days after the elections when they're still counting, Brad Raffensperger said on Good Morning America that there's only one precinct left to report. It was a large precinct, but he said there's not enough votes there to switch to for Biden to win.
yeah, it was something where President Trump had 100,000 vote lead, and there were 90,000 votes left to count. And they asked him, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Yes, we're really precise about those numbers. We know how many ballots are left to count." Then they stopped the count at midnight, and the next thing we know, they came up with 200,000 votes. And yeah, yeah, we can do math, Secretary
Right.
Raffensperger. So
Yeah. So it takes me a minute to switch between these tabs in this browser, the ones that have audio. So I'm kind of poking around here. So if I go quiet here, it's because I'm trying to load up the next thing that Tanya's prepared for us, Tanya. So yeah, you can fill the time there and just know that I'm hunting and pecking, trying to press the right buttons. But so this past week we had a hearing, the Blue Ribbon panel. I like Blue Ribbon Panel because the acronym for that is BURP. But it's the Blue Ribbon Study Committee, House Subcommittee, and so we have some highlights to show you from that. Everything was discussed, everything from the method of voting to how our data is stored as voters, as citizen voters. And one of a big one was about ERIC. Tell us a bit about what ERIC is.
yeah, so one of the issues that we had in 2020 and haven't been fixed are the voter registrations. There's the issues that we're all afraid of. How many illegitimate voters are there in the voter rolls, and how many of those may be voting, and that includes dead voters, underage voters, non-citizens, and non-residents. And ERIC is a system that the state uses to compare voter registrations. It's a tool that the state uses to maintain the voter registrations, because it'll report when people move, when they move out of state and when they move in state. And one of the persons that got to speak at that meeting was a representative from ERIC, and it was, he was just saying how well that works, how they have all these negotiations. ERIC it's a member. It's an organization of 25 member states and Washington, D.C. So for about half the country, they've negotiated sharing all this data and this whole method that they say is completely secure, and I don't completely buy it, but hey, neither did Representative Monahan, by the way, of keeping all that data secure for voter information.
Momtahan.
Yeah, Representative
Momtahan. So this is the guy from ERIC.
Yes.
Don't know his name, but Representative Momtahan.
Yeah.
Is he a banana or a peach, or is he both? Is he a banana peach smoothie?
I think he's really trying to be a peach. He has been, he understands the issues with ERIC. He put in a bill to remove Georgia from being
this guy right here.
Yeah,
that's Representative Momtahan.
Yeah, and and there's Shane Hamlin from Eric was saying that the data is so secure. He made a point that that everybody that has access has to go through this protocol to access it, that it can only be from the secure computer and it's a specific system and it can't be taken out of the country. And he couldn't quite pull the wool over Representative Monahan's eyes. Are you ready to play it?
Yeah.
Since I completely
Here we
spoiled
go. Yeah, let me back it up to, because Mom Dahan talks before the camera cuts. So I think it's right in here. So here we go.
Only get into my Gmail account if I have the credentials to get into it.
Let's back it up, set it up just a little better.
And these are all
Yeah.
logged and audited.
Sure. So I can only get into my Gmail account if I have the credentials to get into it. And it's still from my home network.
It's not exactly the same, but
So my question is this. If a person is on you said the data never leaves U.S. soil. If a person is out of the country and they're connected to a network, a private network in another country, then isn't it possible that information could be on foreign soil?
yeah, ERIC employees aren't allowed to take their ERIC devices out of the country.
And you can tell us with 100% certainty that that's never happened. That it's never been
No,
accessed outside
but
the United States.
it's against the policy. When I went to Canada, I did not access the system.
Sir, I understand policy, but I'm asking for certainty. This is the data of millions of Americans.
Right. ERIC prohibits employees from taking their devices out of the country.
Can you say with 100% certainty that your network has never been accessed outside the United States?
Which network?
The database, the data center, the data from
Yes.
is never, you can guarantee
My knowledge, no.
to your knowledge.
Well,
Thank
of
you.
course.
I'll move on to the next question.
Right.
You're asking for 100% certainty, and I've only been the executive director 8 years.
I think it's important. I think.
I agree, it is important. That's
Security
why we have a
important.
policy that
Right.
prohibits them from taking
Right,
their devices out of the country.
Okay. Well, it was almost done. Yeah. So, all right. So, yeah. So this guy's he's
So
trying to duck.
Yeah.
He's ducking.
right. Big time. I mean, he's been there 8 years. That's a long time. And he's saying it like he's only been there for 8 days. So it's a little, he's being completely disingenuous. He's saying, because people access through a VPN, well, if you've used a VPN, you could leave the country, tell the VPN that you're logging in from the United States, and they would never know that you took a device out of the country. So just because he was honest, he's making the claim that that a policy is enough to guarantee that that data has never left the country, and Representative Monahan called him on it. So, so we have a piece calling out a very slippery slug there.
Well, I am trying to get something loaded up here on the fly here. So go ahead and keep talking there about Monahan. So how did Monahan end up on this committee?
He is, I don't know exactly how those selections were done. So I know that he is he's put in some elections bill before, but I don't know those that I don't know that. I don't know how anybody on there was selected.
I don't know how this is going to look, but I'm going to give him a peach. So we're going to call Monahan a peach. That's not how I wanted it to look, but it's way too big. So anyway, I'll doctor that before we award the next peach. But he gets awarded a peach for his performance at the Blue Ribbon Committee. All right. Well, I have not had a chance to load up the next one yet, but we got the next video on tap here. Let me remove that. Good job, Mom Dahan Peach. What's the next thing?
And something like that, a point like that. So he's making an issue about about a policy there that they have to supposedly keep everybody's data secure. Found a hole in the argument. And, when they're covering up something like that, it really brings to question everything else that they say. But on the other side of the argument, we had Mark Davis, and Mark Davis is one of us. He is one of the people that I'm kind of surprised that I've gotten a chance to collaborate with. And we know Mark because he provided the data in 2022 President Trump when he got in trouble on that infamous call with Secretary Raffensperger. And Mark is a data analyst. He has a company he works with campaigns, so he works with voter data. And that's been his company that he's worked on with his dad growing up. So it's a very long time. And Mark is proposing a solution to the committee to help mitigate some of the issues. And let's play the clip for a little bit so that we can hear Mark himself.
Okay. Here we go.
These voters
In whose
admitted
case? I'm
in
sorry.
court-
In whose case?
Excuse me?
Whose case? What are you talking about? Jurisdiction. What does that mean?
Well, in Louisiana, a jurisdiction might be a parish, but here in Georgia, our
Precinct.
jurisdictions are a county or a municipality. So they had admitted that they had picked up stakes and moved from the county where they were registered to a whole different county. And then they came back and voted in their old county. When they did so, they voted in the wrong House district, one they don't live in any longer. Now, the law allows for a 30-day grace period. That's 21-2-218E. They were well outside that 30-day grace period. So they had no business going back and voting there. The wife basically said, yeah, I did it. The husband said, yeah, I did it, but I wanted to still be able to vote in McDuffie. That 30-day grace period had passed him by. So he no longer had the legal ability to do that. The judge ruled that he could, and he ruled that the wife couldn't. And I think he was trying to make a point, and I think it's the same point I'm trying to make here, is that our residency laws are too murky. There's too much mud in the water. It's too easy to, throw red herrings into the mix here. The context I'm talking about these issues today isn't trying to prosecute anybody or adjudicate a residency issue in particular. It is to call attention to the need for public policy change on this issue because we just have too many of these going on.
Right.
And
What you view as too
Right,
much,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
view as
All
a
right.
subjective process that
Yeah, so there's Mark highlighting a problem where people were allowed to vote in a place where they don't live, or not, sorry, let me start over. Where they voted in a place that they don't live, and that was spotted. They were taken to court over it. The wife was found guilty and she admitted having voted wrongly, and the husband was allowed to get away with it. And so Mark is pointing out that there's an issue in the law that it allows people to get away with that. Really voting in a place where they don't live, and we all kind of get that. That's not how it's. That's not what makes sense. That's not how it's supposed to go. You're supposed to vote where you live. And Mark is also proposing a solution. So he presented to the committee an idea to use change of address data to prompt people that when people submit a change of address, they would get prompted to change their driver's license and voter registration so that it's kept up to date a little bit better, and it can mitigate some of the problems with people voting outside of their county. And so Mark is a very hardworking Georgia peach.
Oh,
And
wow. Let
there-
me, okay. Dude, I've been, while you've been talking, I've been frantically working here. So let me,
I see you.
before we get rid of him.
And there he was
Before-
being challenged by a very big bad banana.
Oh yeah. The banana was in the
Senator
the
Draper.
Count and the Count Dracula costume.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Mark Davis, we're going to give you a peach there. It's a little bit smaller. I guess I could have made it bigger. But there's your peach. He's a peach. I'll try to make that bigger for the next guy. Okay. All right. So moving on here.
Moving on. And we had the graphic to remind everybody about that phone call between President Trump and Secretary Raffensperger. So I mentioned it earlier, and I don't know if everybody remembers it, but maybe when you see this, you will.
Yeah, I remember this. Trump, what we have quoted here in the phone call is that President Trump says to Brad Raffensperger, he says to Brad Raffensperger, I have to find 12,000 votes, and I had them times a lot. And you know what? They tried to accuse him of trying to pressure Brad Raffensperger to cheat, but now we're discovering that Trump really did have those 12,000 votes times a lot.
Times a lot.
And we are also discovering that in many counties, maybe possibly coordinated by the SOS's office, maybe not. No, you know what I'm saying, but I tend to believe that coordinated by the SOS's office is what I believe. It's my right to believe that Brad Raffensperger was hiding 12,000 votes and more because he came out and even said on Good Morning America 2 days, so the day after the election, I think it was the day after the election, it was 2 days, while there was only one precinct left to report, and there's no way that Biden could overcome Trump. But what happened? We don't know. We kind of know now.
Yeah,
But
what happens
go ahead,
were
dude.
ballots under the table, and who knows, hackers from out of the country, but you know, we have Mark's data, and there was also data like some issues that we've noticed with the ballots. And I have a ballot to show you what I mean. It doesn't it's not an issue with the presidential race, but it's a problem with the ballot itself. And when Viking Dude has that ready, you're going to see two ballots from the same precinct in Chatham County from 2020. On the left, so take a look at those races that are circled in green. Those numbers on the top left above the QR code in black, that 49209C on both sides, that's where you see the name of the precinct. So
Okay.
So this is the same precinct.
Right here?
And, yeah, right there.
Okay, right
Chatham
there.
County. And we have those four races, one race and three questions highlighted in green. If we scroll at the very top of the ballot, that's a summary that you get to see that the machine gives you when you vote. The bottom half of the ballot is what the scanner reads when it scans your QR code. So this bottom part tells you how those ballots were counted and read and counted by the machines. And here we have
The discrepancy, it looks like.
Yeah. Everything in red does not match what the ballot said the voter selected.
So okay, so let me see if I'm clear on this.
And if you want to scroll back to the top so that now you can
So
see
the poll, okay, so the poll tape didn't match. You're saying this is from the bottom is from a poll tape?
No, not the poll tape. The bottom
Okay.
The bottom is from the ballot image. When a ballot, so if you scroll on to
This
the top,
part that we're looking at down here, because that I didn't see this on my ballot image.
right, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. So if you scroll up to the top,
Okay.
that part where you have the name of the county, the QR code, and the summary.
All this to down.
That looks
all
like
this up in here.
Right. All that up in there is what you get to see when you go to the machine and you select your votes on the BMD, on that iPad looking
On the
thing that you
Dominion
get
BMD. Yeah.
And then it gives you that printout that you put in the scanner. After where it says scanner, where it says scanned on.
Scanned on. Okay. Got it.
That's a summary of it's a receipt that the Dominion machine produces that reads that identifies how that ballot was read.
Who gets the receipt? Because I wasn't given a receipt.
You don't get the receipt. It's attached to the ballot image. So a ballot image has a copy, what looks like a copy of what the voter was given. And after that, it got that summary.
Okay, so what you've done over here on this side is just done a side-by-side comparison. So this is not something that's generated by the machine.
It is generated by the machine.
On this side?
Yes. The voter doesn't get to see it. But after the election, if you request the ballot images or you pull them down, there's an additional.
I'm trying to understand this. So you're saying the ballot on the left matches up is correct.
Yeah.
Okay. The ballot on the right, this one you're saying is an example of one where what was scanned in the QR code and what was reported up here that we see. The voter sees was not, in fact, what was recorded by the machine.
Yeah.
Is that what? So this is evidence that the machines are not are playing, monkey business with our selections at the BMDs, right?
Right. Yeah, because that race for coastal soil and water was not voted on. It was blank. The voter left it blank, and they voted yes on every single question. When you go down to the bottom.
Hold on, I'm trying to zoom in some more on this. Maybe I can do it this way. Okay, let me really zoom in on this here. So this is the ballot that is wrong.
Yeah. So you see blank contest, vote yes, yes, and yes.
Yes, and that's what this voter would see on their BMD printout.
Yeah.
They run it through the scanner, and it was no, no, no.
Yeah, correct.
Wow. Oh my gosh. There it is. There it is. Why would any of us want to vote on these things anymore?
Precisely. Because we don't know what caused that. We don't know if it was a programming error. We don't know if that machine was hacked, if there was tampered with. There's we don't have access to test them, but we know that it happened in the same precinct, and we know that it was possible for a ballot to be counted right. And that's why I have the other ballot there for comparison, because it's somebody that made the same selections on those 4 races. So, on that one on the left, it does match that it had a blank, right? A blank selection, and then the questions that
blank.
Selected, yes.
Oop.
Yeah.
Okay. And then for coastal, it says blank up here on this one, but down here they added Tony Riley, the Democrat. Oh no, removed.
It added the Republican.
Added the Republican. Removed. Wait, I thought it was blank up here. Wait a minute.
Right. It should be blank. That's what the voter.
But instead of being blank, it says Rivers removed Tony B. Why would it say removed one? Why wouldn't it just be one or the other? Why would it say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know, but that's is this legit? I mean, or this hasn't been doctored?
No, it hasn't been doctored. This is how it looked.
Okay.
yeah, this is what the ballot image shows. And all I can tell
Well, that's
you
pretty
is that
huge, dude.
it's supposed to look identical to the ballot on the left that it said blank contest, no, no, no.
That is pretty huge. Well, okay. Well, this points to some cybersecurity issues. It points to machine issues. Somehow, this is being manipulated in real time, right?
Yeah.
Because that's printed in real time. So, who is responsible? So, for these types of things.
Well, there's people in the Secretary of State's office that are supposed to be responsible, and they were asked in court, in federal court, who's responsible for cybersecurity. And Gabe Sterling pointed to Michael Barnes, and I can't remember what office Michael Barnes was with, and he pointed to Merritt Beaver, and Merritt Beaver said, well, it's Gabe Sterling, but Dominion, some mismatch there. And so they all pointed fingers at each other, and when they're pointing fingers at each other, it just really means that it's no one. No one is responsible for cybersecurity. And
the circle of dereliction. Wow. Circle of dereliction. So this guy here is running for Secretary of State. And he's in the circle of dereliction. Man, I got to find a banana. Now I got to find a banana graphic.
Yeah, we need a banana there, because, you know, there's such defensiveness over the system when, you know, when it comes to computers, something like this, if you have a broken calculator, which is what that ballot tells me, that there's something broken in that system, you can't trust what you get out of it.
Nope, you can't. But you got to keep talking while I get this banana graphic ready.
Yeah. So in the meeting, they had a guy that defended the audits that the county, that the state does, and he was talking about, you know, doing audits based on these ballot images that we can't trust. They're product of how that QR code is read. So, you know, if at least they would talk about doing recounts of the actual paper ballots, that'd be something else. And then they heard from Garland, and Garland pointed out all the security issues that we know of. And his presentation is loaded on VoterGA's Rumble for everybody to see. And that's if you do a search for VoterGA, VOTERGA in Rumble, you'll see it.
I'm almost there. Keep stalling. This is important. Because this guy is running for Secretary of State, Gabe Sterling. He was in the Magastruck video, is saying what did he say in the video? He said, it did not happen. It could not happen. It cannot happen.
Yeah. All the points that President Trump talked about, the list of underage voters, deceased voters, out-of-state voters, non-residents. He said that it couldn't happen. Yeah, and Garland, you know, he presented the issue of the machine security. So we know from that same court case that was the Curling v. Raffensperger court case, that the BMDs can be hacked with a ballpoint pen. They can be put into safe mode, and that would allow the programming to be manipulated. And also part of sworn testimony in a DeKalb case, there was a demonstration in which, with 6 lines of code, they could alter the programming in order to change the results of a
rotten banana alert on all these guys. Rotten banana alert on all these guys, but especially this guy right here. Rotten banana alert.
Yeah, because
Okay.
there would be nothing wrong to say, okay, the machines failed. We found the flaw. Let's check the votes. Show everybody the ballots. Have a transparent hand count. But that's not what they did. And right now we're left with the General Assembly, the state house and state senators to do something about these machines. We've been showing them the data that we have of all the problems that have been found. There was also the commissioner race in DeKalb where the woman that actually won was told on election night that she came in third.
Her name was Michelle Long Spears.
Yeah. And she
was a Democrat.
She was a Democrat, and she was.
And it was a Democrat primary. It was a Democrat primary in DeKalb County for county commissioner, right?
Right. Thank you for bringing it back to the details of that. And she found that in her own precinct, she was awarded 0 votes on election night, and she knew that she voted for herself, and her husband probably did too. So,
right.
It really,
but they got no votes.
Right.
And when they did a hand count of that election, they actually pulled out the ballots and I guess the paper. That the only time we've ever really been able to see these ballots ever is twice. Once was at that race, and once was in Vinings when they wanted to recount the Vinings city referendum. So they went and they grabbed just the Vinings precinct and recounted those. But prior to these 2 incidents, it's like, what are there ballots? Are there really ballots someplace? Because we can never see them. It's like they go and they get locked up and they get stowed away in some dark dungeon someplace, and judges won't allow anybody to ever go in and open them up and recount them. But we finally got to see them, so we know that they exist. And Michelle Long Spears, if I recall, she ended up winning that primary. And she started out, she was last, and then she ended up winning. Yeah. And there were 3 Democrat candidates in that primary, and she was last, and she ended up winning. So there's just so much evidence now. I just don't understand why people are still wrestling with this problem. And I don't think that the problem is again, it comes back to the people who are in charge, the people who are crafting policy. Yeah. They don't want it to change in this state. Yeah, so so that leads us to our next clip.
Yeah, because either from tampering, it doesn't even have to be tampering, whether it's tampering or just what seems to have been the case in that DeKalb race, where there was a last minute change and that led to a programming error. It's too complicated a system, because it all gets counted in this black box that nobody gets to see what the process is that these errors happen. If we're looking at the actual paper where you're reading and you can see what you're counting, you would catch it. But when it happens in the computer, it's like entering numbers in a calculator. It all goes in, and you don't get to see the process. So here's Garland and Tamara.
Yeah, we need to move it along here, dude. So we this was after this last week's Blue Ribbon panel burp meeting. And Garland had a few comments for a few of the election integrity advocates that were there to get up and speak and give public comment. So he stuck around later and had some things. He wanted to give them a little pep talk and tell them to hang in there. But the problem is in this state, we're all going to be decomposing in the ground someplace before the state ever does anything about this. It's beginning to feel like. So that question was posed to Garland and Tamara, and this was Tamara's response.
Which is why, we've been saying for several months that we really believe that President Trump and an executive order is what it's going to take because these guys move too slow. You know, even the ones that we think are friendlies, they're just moving too slow. But President Trump can come out with an executive order for federal elections, obviously, but they're going to be hard-pressed to try to do two systems, one for the federal elections and one for the state elections.
Stephen.
So that's kind of where we're putting all of our eggs now, right? So we gotta jump over here and wrong one.
Well, Tamara
throw
and
a
Garland
peach
are definite peaches.
Yeah, so we'll throw a peach. We'll double peach it. We'll peach.
Double peaches.
We'll peach them. Those are peaches right there. The peach flash. So ditch the banner here. What are they? Okay, so all right. Well, there's that clip, and that's where we're at with that, right? So that rounds out our segment on the House Blue Ribbon Study Committee, or BURP.
Yeah. Yeah, and it also,
I guess, right?
Yeah, and it
whoa. Wait, was there another video we're supposed to roll here that's not in the?
That also winds up what we were, our review of what was covered on Voter GA Saturday morning call, and we have another segment that is an extra segment that I like to do about where we are at with our freedom of speech. And there's this issue that we keep bumping into, and it's this silencing of our voices, and especially conservative voices, constantly under attack on the left. And there was an issue that happened at the Blue Ribbon Study Committee, and there was also an issue that happened that people face every day. And this is a student talking to Megyn Kelly, that she's telling her about what she's facing and getting some advice from Megyn. So let's hear it. Viking Dude, when you're ready.
Okay, just a caveat here. Turn up your volume on your speakers. We can't make this clip any louder than it is, so it's really, really quiet. So go ahead and turn up your volume a little bit, or come back and play it again and turn it up. Here we go.
I'm honestly afraid that I'm not going to pass the class if I speak up, like you've already mentioned.
Then you take that paper and you go to your dean and you say, this person's failing me because I'm conservative, and I'm literally going to Harmeet Dillon at the DOJ Civil Rights Office if you try to ruin my college career because of my political beliefs.
I definitely speak up in class. I'm just a little hesitant.
You're hesitant because you guys aren't having her back. Charlie's Army, they used that term at his memorial, Charlie's Army. And you're all part of it. And you guys have to have her back. Erica said she'd have your back. You got to have her back. If she speaks up in class and says something, somebody say, I agree with her. That's how I feel too. You got to do it for each other, so you're not just the one sore thumb sticking out, and the teacher feels less emboldened to try to bully you.
Okay.
Yeah. So because how many times does that happen that we don't speak up because we're going to be standing alone? And there was something that happened to Garland at the study committee that. He gave his presentation on the voting system security issues. And instead of being asked about the content of the presentation, he was attacked. And I put together a video. I edited this one. It was my first job like that. That sums it all up. Are you ready with it, Viking Dude?
Yeah, we're ready to play. So here we go. Let's go full screen for this one because Tanya did such an amazing job on this. This is really cool. Hope you all enjoy this.
I just want to push back on this contention that you started with, which is that there's no trust in our elections. I'm sure, you have some self-selecting voices in your ear that are saying that to you. But we had a poll just last year that shows that over 2/3 of Republicans not Georgians, but Republicans, are happy with how elections are run in Georgia.
I got to see your reactions.
Okay. Well, let me respond to that. I think your poll is obsolete because the Rasmussen poll that was just conducted a couple of weeks ago found that 2/3 of all voters are concerned of vote manipulation in the 2026 election. And that's a national poll. That includes Georgia.
Do you have any staff?
We have no paid employees. We are all volunteers.
Are you paid?
Absolutely not. Never take. In fact, my wife and I are two of the major donors to Voter GA.
Okay. How much have you donated to Voter GA over the years?
Tens of thousands of dollars. This is an all-volunteer organization. Can you imagine somebody working for 20 years as a volunteer just to try to fix this problem?
Get him, Garland. Get him.
You received $75,000 from Michael Flynn. Is that right?
No.
Is that not right, as reported in CNN?
I don't think we've ever. No, CNN lies. Don't you know that?
Thank you for that. You've coordinated with Cleta Mitchell on poll watching exercises. Is that right?
I wouldn't say we coordinated with her, but we know we work with the Election Integrity Network.
Okay, how would you describe it?
I guess you could say that. We coordinate with the Election Integrity Network. I wouldn't say we coordinate with her personally, no.
Which is led by Cleta Mitchell.
That's correct.
Okay.
Great organization, by the way. Thank you for mentioning it. I would encourage everyone to become a member.
No
It's free.
problem.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Garland Favorito presented Georgia's voting system security flaws to the House Election Study Committee on October 2nd. He offered everyone a chance to prove him wrong immediately after the meeting, although he personally invited and offered an open mic to more top election fraud deniers. No one accepted the challenge. Yeah, if you like
Great.
that, keep donating to Voter GA because we've still got a lot of work to do.
Good job, Tanya. Good job, Garland. Yeah. Woo! That was hot. Yeah. Woo! Ah.
Yeah,
All right.
so she went at him, in that first segment, self-selecting voices. There's another one that she how do I say it? She called, it was about Coffee County, and I'm going to do a video about this one, I think, because she was calling an investigation that the Coffee County Elections Office did. She was calling it a breach, and she called Garland a hypocrite about it. So she was definitely attacking him personally, trying to implicate that he was profiting from making all these accusations that were not right. And it's really good. It was really good to see that Garland was not alone, not just because I knew it, because of the people in the room that would hug him afterwards. But there was I texted him immediately. I call him a rock star, and that's Max Clavito. That he stood up, and he stood up to the committee and told them exactly what he thought about that questioning. And if you're ready, Garland, if you're ready, Viking dude, with that clip.
Okay, here we go. This is Max Clavito. Should we phone him?
I'm on it. Let me find him while you're at it. So go ahead, because it'll take a minute for that to come up.
All right, here we go. This is Max Clavito, what he had to say about that exchange between Countess Sarah Drapula, is what I call her, Sarah Draper, and Representative Sarah Draper and Garland. And so Max didn't like what he heard. Here we go.
followed by Stephen Elshire. Okay, and if I may, real quick, Jane Branscombe. Defer also. Okay, thank you. Kristen Neighbors following Mr. Clavito.
Thank you. I've been to all of these Blue Ribbon Committee meetings except one. I think you guys are doing a great job. I really appreciate the fact that you're going around the state, getting a multitude of opinions and viewpoints. And I hope you can go back to the next session and take some action. I think there are already a lot of laws in place that can make things function very well. Unfortunately, they're not followed and the laws aren't enforced. Maybe that should be the next focus of attention. I also want to mention, this is a diversion from what I intended to say. I'm pretty disappointed in the conduct of one of your committee members. Garland Favorito made a very well-researched, factual presentation. And when given the opportunity to ask questions, rather than make some point against it, you evidently did not have an intelligent rebuttal. So you thought it was cute or whatever to attack his credibility and his motives, and then conclude with a shit-eating grin on your face. I thought that was disgusting, and I don't think it's becoming whatsoever. Thank you.
Okay, Kristen Neighbors.
All right. Well, it's queued up there. Back to Max in the shot there. A lot of peaches there. Well, I can't find it. It's a really long. Oh, he was right there. Okay, there he is. Max, you get a peach. You're a peach, Max. You're a peach. All righty. So we'll pull him out of there.
Yeah, so because of Max, the committee knew that Garland was not there as an isolated voice. And I really appreciate that he stood up and said that. I mean, that's how it's done. That's how you know, like there was a speech that Megyn Kelly made that, you know, she reminded the students that she was speaking on. She went on a Turning Point conference or there was a presentation that she was going to do with Charlie Kirk, and she kept that appointment after he was killed. And she talked to the students and told them, you know, remember that we're the majority. We know that we're the majority because of the results in the 2024 election. President Trump got the popular vote. And we keep getting silenced. The left, they control the conversation. They change words around. They frame things in a way that puts us on the defensive. A lot of people are hesitant to stand up. The ones that do are sometimes alone because nobody stands up to speak up and to say that they agree, that they support their classmates and their peers. And so here in that room, Max stood up for Garland, and that's awesome because Garland, he made an objective presentation based on facts and research that we've done. And so there's no reason to try to diminish him or his credibility in that room.
And the results of these blue ribbon hearings are going to have one more. We encourage everybody to, if you can, to go get up and voice your opinions. You know, that's the form. You get 2 minutes. You know, so you got to try to pack it into 2 minutes. If you can coordinate with a group of people to make a longer statement together, it takes longer than 2 minutes. So everybody do a part of it. But that's so I did want to pull up one thing here. I wanted to play Garland at the beginning of this thing that he did afterwards, and he talks about how amazed he is that he didn't get one question about his presentation. It was just, it's like they don't even care. So here's Peach. Here's Peach Garland. We'll give him a peach before we play this.
And all of our adversaries we knew were going to be here, as y'all saw today. So we figured, let's do it after. I went around and personally invited all of the adversaries, including the Democrat Party Voter Integrity Project, and the leader of that, who tried to call me out in her public comments. I invited her to stay and be the first up, and she said, "Oh, I got to go." I invited Kristen Neighbors for All Voting's Local, invited Cindy Battles from People's Coalition, invited Rachel from ACLU, anybody, Dan Hackman, David Worley from the Democrat Party. No one would challenge anything that I said today. And I just laid out a plan of how we can get to hand-marked paper ballots and hand counting, and why we have to do it, because the Dominion system is so vulnerable and actually has remote access. As y'all saw today, I got into this big to-do with Sarah Draper.
Okay, that's all. We need to show that. We saw the to-do with Sarah Draper. But, you know, Garland wanted to have a format at the end where they could really pin him down. And I was going around myself. I was going around to some of these folks and saying, "Hey, stick around." And I was setting up camera, because I ran camera for Garland on this thing. I was setting up cameras like, "Hey, pin him down. I mean, drill him with your toughest questions. I want to see you guys take Garland down." I was really trying to egg him on. It's like, you know, I mean, I can't think of a better place. I'm going to be filming this. Get him. And they would all look at me like, "Oh, well, maybe." It was just, you know what it was? Well, I got to take Garland down before this, and I'm a peach right now, and I don't want to put a banana over me, but it was bananas. It was bananas. Banana after banana after banana, and I'm talking mushy browning banana responses to, you know, the challenge to stay and ask Garland anything that would refute what he was saying. And, you know, Sarah couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. All they could do is attack him. So that's the problem, right, dude?
Yeah, it is. And the name of this segment is Free Speech in Danger. And it is while we censor ourselves. It is while we stay quiet. And sometimes it feels like we need to be brave and pull up our courage to say what we want. It shouldn't be so hard because, again, there's a majority. So please stand up for the people that are up there and taking the slings and arrows for everybody else, and standing up to try to fix our elections. Yeah.
And I want to remind everybody, I think we're coming to the conclusion of this show. We're running long again. We're trying to do these in about an hour. But this was good content, dude. You did a great job putting this show together. Wanted to remind everybody to follow Peaches and Bananas. Follow Tanya, Peaches and Bananas, on X. Please go there now. It's Peaches to Bananas. So let me zoom in on that right there. It's, wrong. Let's see. So Peaches to Bananas, at Peaches to Bananas. Look for that logo. Look for Tanya's face and look for that logo. Also, we are the channel we're using for our content is Magastruck. That's our YouTube channel, and we don't know how long that'll stay there, but hopefully YouTube plays ball for a little while. You can also find us on Rumble. Now, Rumble has demonstrated that they're willing to allow content to ride and fly, and they don't strike you for copyright. They don't strike you for a lot of stuff. Maybe it's just because they're smaller, but they're supposed to be. I have heard of stories of people's content being censored early on. I think they've got a lot of pushback on that. This was where, you know, everyone fled to when there was mass censoring and purging of accounts at YouTube. Now, I recently had an account purged at YouTube, and it was all about traveling to the Holy Land to go visit, sites in the Bible. It was archaeology. It was archaeology and theology. But I also talked about how great the country is and how it's an amazing place. If you ever get a chance to go and tour the country and see the archaeology, it's just mind blowing. It certainly proves the validity of what, the scriptures that we have contained in our Bible, and then some additional books as well that have been discovered. I don't know if most people know this, but an additional psalm was uncovered at the dig site of Qumran that is not in any of our Bibles. So that just lets you know that there are questions that we have to ask, and it's under the ground over there in Israel. Regardless of that, my whole site was nuked by YouTube, and I think that it's just because it has Israel, that it's about Israel, that it's calling for peace between all faiths and all people who are represented there in Jerusalem, to go and discover in the land of Israel. It was more about peace, and of course we can't have peace. We can't have people getting along, right? So my theory is that that's probably one of the reasons why my channel was nuked, because it was about upholding good things and having fun in the land of Israel. So lastly, we are again encouraging people to go to GiveSendGo, and see if I can zoom in on this. Oh yeah, there we go. So GiveSendGo, there's Tanya again, and support us. We need any kind of financial support you can give us. Tanya's doing a lot on very little, and she has a lot more challenges than the rest of us. I can guarantee you, I know what kind of challenges she faces. I know what's going on in her life right now. And everything, as you know, costs money, and everything's more expensive than it used to be. And Tanya needs our help. So that's actually the name of this GiveSendGo site. It is GiveSendGo. Tanya needs our help. Okay, GiveSendGo.com/Tanya needs our help. Please go there and consider making a contribution.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate that. And we're going to close up with a song that Viking dude wrote. And it is Nothing Else Matters But Election Integrity. Right, Viking dude?
Yeah, I'm from the Weird Al Yankovic era of music, and I was always a big fan of Weird Al, how he would do these spin-off parody, satirical parodies of popular music. So we will qualify this as a satirical parody, creative license there. So I'm calling the author of this song, this parody song, is not Metallica, but Machinica, because we think machines are icky. And so it's adapted. It's adapted from the Nothing Else Matters song by Metallica. It's adapted. I've changed it up quite a bit. So, and I'm going to butcher it probably, but here we go. We're going to wrap up the show with this one.
And
all right?
Hopefully we won't get struck.
Shouldn't. So close, no matter. Hold on, let me back off the mic. Let me ask you, how's it sound? Is it cutting in and out, or is it? It's tricky here, huh?
That was pretty good right now.
Okay, let me back off the mic just a little bit more here, because I feel like it's going to cut in and out like it did last time. Okay.
Yeah. So everybody heard. Okay.
Go ahead. What?
I was just gonna say that we all heard Magastruck that we wrote together earlier. And this is one that Viking did on his own, and that's one of the things that we like to do. We like to write songs together.
Well, this was the first parody that I did a while back, actually. So here we go. So close, no matter how far. These frauds must feel the people's power. Elections will be free and fair, or nothing else matters. I never knew it's been rigged always. The uniparty must rule the day. The ballots are ours, so count them our way. Oh, nothing else matters. Trust I seek, my ballot cast. Hand counts, whether slow or fast. It means everything, future and past. Or nothing else matters. I never cared, but now I do. I never knew we're getting screwed, but now I know. So close, no matter how far. No trust for Brad Raffensperger. Or damn machines, ditch them far. They steal votes. All right, let me do that one again. Or damn machines, they steal votes, ditch them far. Or nothing else matters. I don't know, you want to keep going, dude? We go in the chorus one more time?
One more time.
I got to scroll up here. That's the only problem is I've got the lyrics up here. I got to memorize these things. Okay, we'll go into the chorus one more time here. Now I care and so should you. Paper ballots we must do. Now okay. I never cared, but now I do. We never knew we were getting screwed. Now I care and so should you. Paper ballots we must do. Now we know. So close, no matter how far. These frauds in power, they need to feel the people's power. Elections must be free and fair. Oh, nothing else matters.